I am so excited. We are with Anaïs.
It's Anaïs. Yeah,
Anaïs
so close.
Mitchell, the creator, the writer of Hadestown, the musical. How did this originally evolve in your head?
You know, I started working on this show 12 years ago in the state of Vermont, where I used to live. It was originally like a DIY community theater project. We rolled around the state of Vermont in a school bus that was painted silver, and we played town halls and we played music clubs. A few years later, I made a studio album of some of the songs from the show.
Which became hugely popular.
Yeah, it had some amazing guest singers on it, and for a while the piece just lived in the music world. We would perform it as a concert. But I always wanted to develop it further and see it on the stage again. And around 2012, I met Rachel Chapkin, my director and collaborator on the development of the piece. And I've been working with her for 6 years on it. So we did a bunch of workshops, more than I can count.
What made you originally come to this idea?
Oh, yeah. You know, a lot of times when I'm writing a song, the impetus for the song will just be this mystical, just a random idea that comes that doesn't even feel like it's from me. And then I'll sort of follow the thread into the labyrinth. And with this show, I was driving in my car and some lyrics came into my head, and they seemed to be about this story. And I sort of followed it a little further, and then I got excited about the idea of putting my songs to work in a longer form of storytelling.
What musicians have inspired you and have helped you to create what you create?
Well, I grew up in a household with a lot of folk rock from the 1960s. Leonard Cohen and Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan, those real songwriters. Those were my early influences. And then Ani DeFranco was a really important influence for me when I was in high school and started to write songs. And as far as theater goes, I've always loved Les Mis. I've always loved Sweeney Todd. I came to love Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 when I saw that. And I think all of those shows are essentially sung through musicals. You know, there's no moment where you break the spell that is cast by music. And that's what I was craving for this show, and that's sort of what the show has become. It's a sung through piece.
Now, in talking to Rachel Chapkin, this is really a show about spirituality and faith. Of your lyrics, which ones resonate the most towards that?
Towards faith.
And what this show is about?
Yeah. Well, the song Wait For Me, which happens twice, is really, I think there's some of the kind of most emotional set pieces of the show. And really they are Orpheus the first time around and Eurydice the second time around, calling out to their lover to say, I'm with you, I'm going to stay with you, and I'll be with you. And in the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, the final test for Orpheus is that he has to walk out of the underworld with Eurydice walking behind him and not turn around to make sure that she's there.
Right.
So those songs become a sort of like an incantation of solidarity and I'm with you.
It's a haunting melody. It actually pulls you towards it.
Do you know, that's the first lyric that came into when I was driving in my car, age 25 or whatever, driving to some gig. That melody of Wait For Me, that was the very first thing that occurred to me for this piece.
What would you like audiences to take away from this piece?
I hope people experience it on all this sort of chakra levels. The music is really, there's an amazing big band and there's amazing orchestrations, and it's very visceral. I think it makes you kind of want to dance and you feel it in your body. And then hopefully they'll be moved in their hearts. It's really it's a sad story. It's clearly a tragedy in the myth. The original myth is a tragedy, but it has a lot of joy in it, and the joy of making music, the spirit of Orpheus, and sort of the togetherness that happens when people are playing music, singing music in a room together. And I hope that kind of presence is what people will take away with them.
And how has this changed from the New York Theater Workshop to now?
Yeah.
What is the biggest change for you?
So at New York Theater Workshop, we didn't have the money
chorus.
or the space, right, to have the workers' chorus, which we have now. And they've become a really important presence both choreographically and also chorally. They are able to take the songs that Orpheus sings and make them large, you know, and take the gestures that Rachel Chapkin is making visually and make them, you know, larger. So that's been a major change. And then I think beyond that, I just continue, hopefully, to deepen in terms of making this show work not just as a concert piece, not just as a music piece, but as a piece of drama that is hopefully satisfying.